weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of spokes.
Sharp and Smart in front, and loose. Sharp and Smart wins the derby. The filly Legato is driving at them and got up. The filly, the Kiwi, Legato.
What an incredible weekend with Group 1 success on both sides of the Tasman. An incredible Saturday afternoon for the New Zealanders, and we're going to go through all of that right here on Weigh In this morning. Michael Guerin, a very warm welcome to you, and so much to celebrate on Weigh In this morning. Not only did we have Sharp and Smart delivering in the New Zealand Derby, but also, of course, Legato across the ditch.
Hey, good morning, Em. Big hi to everybody watching on both sides of the Tasman. A special day. If you didn't enjoy Saturday, you probably should stop watching now, because this isn't the show for you. A wonderful derby, won by a horse who we're now starting to think could be a very special horse. We've thought that for a while, and the world is at his very large hooves. But then to have the little bit of a setback of Imperatriz being caught late, and us all going, and then Legato, where she could have been so unlucky, but to win, a wonderful story for Ken and Bev Kelso and the owners. Ken will join us on the show. He has a message for a lot of people out there. He'll join us in about 25 minutes' time. And the possibility, Em, of what it all means in the future. We know this is a great three-year-old crop. The news is coming through that prowess is going to wait for age this week again. These three-year-olds keep giving and giving and giving. It's so cool. I think everybody's really loving it. We're going to try and put some perspective around that and give you an idea of where everybody is going or not going, so we can catch our breath after a wonderful weekend. But man, that was fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun, wasn't it? Let's relive the Group 1 New Zealand Derby. Sharp and Smart recording a third Group 1 victory.
And behind these next then we've got out wide end loose, followed by Rockburn, and further back hitting the rest then is Mark Twain. 3:50 to go. It's Sharp and Smart the leader, full of sincerity, throwing down the challenge. 2 lengths away then we've got Andalus and out wide, and then Savoir Faire. It's Sharp and Smart. He has to call upon all his staying qualities, and he's doing so. Here's Andalus coming after him. Sharp and Smart in front. Andalus. Sharp and Smart wins the derby. Sharp and Smart beat Andalus.
Roger, you've done it all in New Zealand racing, but what does it mean to you to win your home derby?
Good for the team. They've done a great job. He's not an easy horse. He hit the front, and I said to Ryan, you watch him, he'll switch off. He did it in the VRC derby, and he switched off, but he's still good enough. I think potentially he could be the best horse we've had in New Zealand for a long time.
Look, Hong Kong have joined us for the derby today, and you've suggested that you'd love to take him up there.
Yeah, I'd love to bring him. They've been great to me, Hong Kong, and Winfred and Huey Bowman. If he's all right, he'll be there for the Vase, and hopefully by then he learns how to be a racehorse, and I'd love to, but that's our plan.
Congratulations, Ryan. It's been one heck of a couple of months for you. You got in a nice position early.
Yeah, just got a really nice position early, and just down the straight, and just had one covering us in 3 wide, so we just tucked in behind it, just give him a bit of clear air, and just from down the back, we just give him a little bit more clear air, just come into the race nicely.
He's not easy to ride, because you watch him coming down the home straight and he seems to knock off at times, but when he gets challenged, he'll find again.
Yeah, I was just in a bit of trouble at 600, just had to make my way through runners, but I'm glad I did at the time. And yeah, he's just a big kid. He's got so much to learn. He's just with it coming up the straight, he's seen those horses with the visor blinkers on and he's kicked back strongly.
Okay, ground's been a pretty important part in your career as well, so to pick up a derby for him, it must be very special.
Oh, ground's been huge in my career. I was probably not one of the best apprentices around at the time. I was pretty useless, but he's brought me a long way and he's given me some great opportunities.
Okay, congratulations.
Thanks.
Oh, big well done to Ryan Elliott. Michael, I felt he rode sharp and smart like he was the best horse in the race. He took luck out of it and it was sort of a clinical performance, wasn't it, with what he was able to do, and the best horse really won the race.
He was on a hiding to nothing, Ryan, because when you're on $1.60 favourite in the Derby, anything but a victory isn't good enough. And he could only stuff it up if he got beaten. And here at the top of the straight, he was here to be beaten. Now, there were good horses from Derby-winning stables, a Forsman horse, a Stephen Marsh horse around you. I do think, as Graham said, and he's a far better judge than me, that he waited for them a touch. Because once Andalus really came at him hard here, and he could probably hear him and without the blinkers not see him, he went again, and had they gone another 200 metres, Andalus wouldn't have got past Sharp and Smart. He was really good though. He'll be heading to the Derby in Sydney as well. That's on April the 1st, Andalus. Third horse, still very immature, but obviously a very good horse. Andrew Forsman will make a decision around Fuller Sincerity later this week or maybe into the next week. And Mark Twain the same. Excellent when you think that the first three were in a clump at the top of the straight and Mark Twain was about 12 lengths behind them. He's come home in really quick time, and speaking to the James Wellwood team, they'll do the same thing. They'll ease up and think, what do we do here? Do we go ATC Derby, which looks pretty strong, Queensland Derby, which they won last year with Pinarello, and they had the potential to go through races at Awapuni and back at Pukekohe to get there. So they might even take that Pinarello route with Mark Twain, who was really good. Waitak was a touch unlucky and actually found the line really well. I thought when you looked at it, it's going to be a very deep derby. And we've had some weakish type derbies. Last year was a good derby as well. But I think there'll be a lot of form come out of this derby because even horses like Desert Lightning, who maybe struggled a touch with the 2,400 metres, they're going to have good careers in front of them. That takes us back to Sharp and Smart. And all of a sudden we start to think, well, what does all this mean? What sort of horse do we have on our hands? He's won $3 million. And that's a lot of money. ATC Derby next, Hugh Bowman confirmed April 1st. The week after is the QE2. Now, that's going to be an awfully serious race. William Haggis is coming down from England for it. The Japanese are coming for it. Potentially Animo could be there. So that's an entirely different level, and whether he can go 24-24 back to 2000 and win that is a hell of an ask. He'll be very warm for the Derby if he gets there because some of these horses aren't going to turn up. But that next race might tell us what sort of horse we have on our hands. When you look at it...
Do you feel he's already told us what type of horse he is? I mean, he's won a weight for age, 3-year-old won a weight for age. He's won a he's placed in a Victorian Derby. He's won a Spring Champion Stakes. I mean, he could potentially be one of the best horses to have come out of New Zealand in a very long time.
I think he absolutely could be, but when you start talking about the great 3-year-olds, like the three, but look at this bunch here. To beat those horses, to beat Animo, to beat the Japanese is going to be incredibly difficult, but he's got the option. He's got the chance to go there with a lighter weight and show us how good he is. You start to think, when you look at Sharp and Smart, about who you can compare him to. Let's go through this. He is a very strong horse, but he doesn't win by big margins. He didn't win that Derby by a lot. Over his 6 wins in his career, here's his winning margins. Head, half head, half head, half head, 3/4 a length in the Herbie Dyke, and a long neck. So we've got a 3-year-old who's big and strong, who loves a fight and doesn't win by much. He's won the New Zealand Derby. He's going to head to the ATC Derby, which he hasn't won yet, but if he does, that starts to sound a little bit like a horse who raced here before you were born. And
you gave me the answer before we started, so I won't chime in.
That horse is Bone Crusher. Now, I'm not saying that this horse is Bone Crusher, because not many horses are. And he may never, ever get anything near that level. But his body of work so far is very similar, winning by small margins. Bone Crusher won by small margins. New Zealand Derby ticked off. Australian form ticked off. But Bone Crusher went to Sydney and won the ATC Derby and then won the BMW. Now, this horse is going to attempt something similar. Admittedly, it'll be a very strong Queen Elizabeth. So we're not saying he's even remotely in the same class as Bone Crusher, but that's the horse who springs to mind of the type of horse we're seeing. Will he get there? Probably not. Most horses don't. But at 4, Bone Crusher went on to win a Cox Plate, and that's where this horse could turn up. Whether he's a natural Cox Plate horse or more of a 2400 horse for a Caulfield Cup, I suppose we'll all find out together. But it's an awfully fun ride, and it's a horse who's come along at a time in Graham's career, Emily, when this might be the last great horse he ever has for him and Debbie, and it's really wonderful, and it's just a cool story, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed it. The first leg of our big 3-year-old double on the weekend.
Yeah, really looking forward to following the connections and certainly to the ATC Derby for the foreseeable future anyway. Secure Girl wrapped up a wonderful day for the Ben Foot team with a win in the Sunline Vase. Let's have a little look at that now.
And behind those, Chevelle d'Or at the 300 metres. Sakura Girl, the one to catch, led by 2.5. Sadak is running on. So is Sacred Dream. Kaidu's Pride further back. Chevelle d'Or, Marvelous right down the outside. It's Sakura Girl in front. Sadaka closing. It's Sakura Girl, Sadaka, Marvelous arriving late. Sakura Girl and Kozi Asano and Ben Foot are wrapping up a great day. It's Sakura Girl wins the McKee family Sunline Vase from Sadaka. Marvelous.
She's a beautiful filly, and we thought she'd improve, so yeah, we were pretty confident going into it.
Well, I saw her in the back parade and she just reached a little bit of X factor.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, like I say, she's an outstanding filly, great attitude. It would have been nice to get a bit of cover today, but we wanted to be positive out the gates, just take bad luck out of the equation. But yeah, she just stretched out nice in the straight, and yeah.
The puzzle for the Oaks has been a little bit hard to read at the present moment, but she's really put her hand out to be right in the top echelons.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think she'll lap up the 2-4 as well. So we're really looking forward for the Oaks.
Okay, pretty special day.
Yeah, pretty special.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A massive day for you and your trainer, and she just was the best horse and ridden like the best horse in the race.
Yeah, Ben's got the best horses, that's all. I think I just get an opportunity from him and the owners. It's such a big opportunity. I'm so glad I got the job done. They just went massive today.
Form's a funny thing, it seems to go in waves, but when you're on your high, it's best to ride it while it's there.
Yeah, that's for sure. She actually galloped real good last gallop on Tuesday, I think, and I was fairly confident, but I just wanted to make her settle, but hey, who cares about the good results?
There's a race called the New Zealand Oaks. I think she might be primed for that as well.
Yeah, I think the team is heading to the Oaks, so hopefully we give it a crack at the Oaks.
And I see Mum and Dad are still here to enjoy the moments.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, they don't want to go back home now.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks.
Go and enjoy.
Cheers.
Well done to Kozi Asano and the Ben Foot team with their success with Secure Girl, and brought that prowess form and delivered in the Sunline Vase, eating up all the distance of the Sunline Vase. A $280,000 purchase from the 2021 New Zealand bloodstock ready to run sale out of an O'Reilly mare, Saltina, bred by the Moore family. She's got a bit of quality and she brings that lovely form through prowess and has to be considered in that Oaks market.
Well, she can also put herself out of trouble if you can lead or be handy in those races, particularly in an Oaks field where there's going to be a lot of horses who are just out of maidens. Getting out of their way is a big help. Sadaka has been really good in a couple of races, so she was excellent here. And the horse down the outside in the Cambridge stud colours, the Almanzor filly Marvelous, came home in 46.8 for her last 800 metres. Now that's absolutely flying. She's arriving as an Oaks horse because we know Almanzor can leave 2,400 metre horses. He left a Derby winner in Victoria and second in the Derby the other day. Very unusual Derby Oaks, because all the horses who were in the market 2 months ago, Prowess, Legato, blah, 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 they're not going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's almost been left open, and open's probably the word. So even Oaks, it's going to be around before you know it. It's 12 days away. It's going to happen very quickly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if you looked at that first page, you can make a case for any of them. Chevelle d'Or was good the other day. I think it's an open Oaks, and I think there's lots of people who have horses in it who are very glad not to see Legato or Prowess at the top of that market.
Yeah, and we'll recap Valdi Zoldo as well, who of course was successful in the Loland Stakes during the week. Up next, we're going to get you off to the Intimidator, who was also a winner on Saturday. The Intimidator took out the Mufasa Stakes, race number 5.
The Mufasa Stakes, Master Brutus went up to Lucia over on the inside, Luella Christina. Now looking to come up out after them is Maven Bell, also running on Mazzolino. Master Brutus, the Intimidator hasn't given it away on the inside. The Intimidator, Master Brutus, Maven Bell peaks on her run. It's on the inside, the Intimidator and Master Brutus, the Intimidator. The Intimidator got up second at the...
And then he got round to the barriers and he was having a bit of a think. He stood in there for a while and he came out a bit fresh today. That wasn't really the plan to be in front like that. We wanted to ride him with a bit of cover, knowing that we thought he was a big chance going to Trent for mid-a-mile in a couple of weeks' time. But Watermoo didn't really have a choice. He just put himself there and he cuddled him up as best he could and he fought really hard.
It seems to me as he's not the finished product. He doesn't really know how to gather himself yet. He's all arms and legs and a big extravagant action.
Yeah, heaps of ability. Just, love the day when he finally figures it out. He can draw well, take a sit and behind a good speed, and I think we'll see the best of him.
Just jumped out the gates too well and I've ended up leading by default, so now the blinkers are a big help to him. You know, he's a big raw horse that likes to float around a bit when he hits the front, and those blinkers definitely sharpened him up a bit. Now I've got a lot of time for him.
Yeah, he's got a big extravagant action and he's still learning from what I can see.
Yeah, no, like I said, he's a big, beautiful raw horse. He's still learning his crate, but I'd say 3 to 6 months you're going to see a pretty serious horse.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
Muramu Pin picking up a stakes win in the Mufasa Stakes on the Intimidator, and I think they summed it up pretty well, Michael. They didn't maybe want to lead, but they were there, and a big raw horse who just sort of doing it on sheer ability.
A whole bunch of things to unpack out of this race, so we'll go through them piece by piece. First of all, good ride by Wuramu. This horse won a lot easier than maybe you think. When you're watching this, you're not actually going to see the really graphic part of this. We'll get through this first. In front, thought the filly outside the leader was really good. She'll get her black type at some stage, which will be great because she's worth a stack. Master Brutus is becoming one of my favourite horses of the summer.
Yeah.
He is so good, he tries so hard, he's got tactical speed.
Turns up every time, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's awesome. Maven Bell we'll get to in a second. When you go back to Love Racing, this is the footage there. That's exactly what I wanted to show you. That footage there after the line, this horse was 4 lengths in front of them. So they all get to the line together. They're all being urged as much. And often when you watch a race, watch after the line, see what happens. He just ran away from them. He was miles in front of them and didn't need to pull up for about 600 metres. That's important because he's heading to the Living Classic next start, 1,600 metres. Some of those horses may not cop the step up to 1,600. He absolutely will. Now what you're seeing here is that Maven Bell's been taken out of this market. So I couldn't get hold of Mark Walker this morning, but Maven Bell was no longer in the market, which would suggest clearly she's not going. I would presume they have taken her out this morning. She raced a little bit tired. She came home in 45.8, so it was actually a hell of a run, but it wasn't as pingy as you would usually expect. Also looking on this page, we know Legato's not going to be there. I'll be extremely doubtful Waitac and Desert Lightning are there after their derbies, and Lickety Split's not going to be there. So when you look at this page and take those Group 1 horses out, this is the Intimidator's race to lose. Andrew Forsman set him for this race after the Karaka Classic Mile and said, I'm going to set him for this. He rang me and said, I'm going to set him for this. And we went through the TRB market. And of the top 12 in the TRB market then, Wild Knight, Legato, Prowess, blah, 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 none of them are turning up. Makes you wonder a little bit, because it's been a really good race the last 2 years, the Living Classic, on where it sits and what it's affected by. It's been a victim of its own success because our 3-year-old crop's so good, some of them, Prowess, Legato, are going to other places.
Yeah.
But that market has enormously reshaped since 2 weeks ago because Sharp and Smart was in the market as well. So Maven Bell, as I said, we haven't heard from Mark Walker this morning, but clearly is out, and I would suggest probably having a mini break because she raced, even though it was 45.8 for the last 800, I thought she raced a touch dour compared with maybe some of the earlier runs in the campaign.
We're going to get you along to the King's Plate next, and this one was taken out by Babylon Berlin, as we highlighted. A great day for Benford. This was a clinical effort by the daughter of All Too Hard.
He's cuddling the leader up. Back and behind them then is Multime, followed by Rose and Power. Babylon Berlin at the 200. She's 4 lengths in front here from Packing Rockstar, our Alley Cat. Further back then we've got over on the inside Rose and Power, but oh, she deserves this, you reckon? Of course she does, and she's blowing them off the track. Babylon Berlin, she bolted in. Second over Packing.
Yeah, she just tries really hard, and we're all proud of her. You know, she can be a bit of a bitch at times, but you know, we can put up with it when they try as hard as her.
Okay, she sort of missed the way of fraction, and Opie just took the initiative.
Yeah, exactly. We knew that they were going to try and take us on a little bit, but I just sort of left it up to Cozzy at the end of the day, and he decided to slide forward. You know, I said she's the best horse in the race, and she can run times, so yeah, she proved it.
Look, it was track work the last 300 metres.
Yeah, no, it did look good. I think there's a little bit of improvement there, so like I say, it will just give me that little bit of confidence going forward to Melbourne.
Okay, Melbourne, exciting times. Wherever you go, it's always a step up, but the excitement levels are there.
Yeah, like I say, a bit of confidence now anyway after that one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
She always consistent this mare. Finally, I rode a winner on her, and I'm glad I got the job done today.
Okay, just talk us through the start of the race, because you went forward after a couple of 100 metres.
Yeah, obviously there's a bit of pace on. She's really kind now. When I dig her out of the gates, she'll go in front straight away. But I just wanted to see if we can find her feet. And she was good. Just going into the first corner, she just grabbed the bits and put herself in front. So I just let her roll. After that, she was just comfortably changing leg and done everything professionally.
Yeah, the last 300 metres, pretty special feeling for a jockey to be on a horse that had that much to offer.
Yeah, for sure. I'll keep an eye on her on Aussie. Hopefully she cracks that Group 1 over there.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, Babylon Berlin, a very well-deserved win in the King's Plate. Of course, she's been around the money in a number of starts around some very talented horses and did deliver in the King's Plate on Saturday. Exciting that she's going to head across the ditch to Australia. We heard there from Ben Furton. Gosh, she's deserving of a Group 1 win. I really hope she can get it.
Yeah, initially, the William Reid sounds like a really big step. I mean, Group 1 Friday night at the Valley, which will be great. We can all stay up and watch that. But when you think about her form, forget about this, because she was always going to beat these horses, particularly when Bonnie Less came out. But she has form around Imperatrice, who was Group 1 placed and almost won on Saturday, form around Levante. And last year, she beat home Rockin' Horse in the Railway, albeit Rockin' Horse was unlucky, but she's still beaten it.
Yeah.
So she deserves her crack. And obviously, if she happened to win or even run a placing over there, she's
so valuable,
worth an enormous amount of money. What you've just seen there, I reckon, I was trying to go back through my brain last night and trying to find another horse who did what happened there, and that is this. In a decent black-type sprinting race, we talk about horses winning by margins. She won by a second. She actually won that race in the official times by over a second. I can't remember a horse in a black-type sprint in New Zealand in the last 20 years winning by a second. That means you have to win by 7 lengths. Her official time was 1:8.65. Packing Rockstar ran second in 1:9.66. You could watch racing for another 20 years at black-type level, maybe 2-year-olds, but not the older horses, that they actually win by a second. It's not a unit we talk about very often. What that means for the William Reid, I presume it probably means she needs a good barrier, but if she gets up against the aluminium
she's going to put herself there too, isn't she? Yeah.
Well, she gets up against the inside. It's going to be hard to win. It may not be the strongest race because there's so many other options.
Doesn't matter. Still got a Group 1 beside it.
Yeah. It's exciting for Ben. I like Ben's sunglasses. I hope he takes those to Melbourne. They were a big hit. Disappointing he didn't get them there.
Michael, fashionista.
They were cool. You didn't like them?
I didn't even notice, to be honest. I was too busy listening to what you were saying.
Okay, I wasn't.
Some of us studying.
Exciting time for Ben. Like he's got a really nice horse in the South Island who's unbeaten. He's got these two horses you can travel with. So yeah, he works really hard and he's got a great eye for a horse. So congratulations to him.
And his sunglasses.
And his sunglasses. Well done, Ben.
The stayers were out on Saturday, of course, as well at Te Rapa. And Ladies Man had a very good Auckland Cup trial in the Nathans Memorial.
The Nathans, 350 to go, and now no loitering ranged up to the leader. Coming after Rapid Fours, here's Ladies Man down the outside. And behind them then is SVR, followed by Fierce Flight. Ladies Man took over at the 150. Battling on is Rapid Fours, and then no loitering. Now Fierce Flight is getting away on. Ladies Man in front though. Ladies Man from Fierce Flight. That's a great Auckland Cup trial. Ladies Man wins the Nathan. Second over.
Yeah, well, he never pulled it all. I've taken the hood away from him, put the crossover on, and I said to Grillsy the big thing was to get him to relax. He threw the Wellington Cup away, got caught on the inside. He changed hold 3 times in the race and had the audacity to present at the 300. They don't do that.
He got there quickly today, and maybe he was still loafing a bit. The blinkers an option when we go to the big dance?
Still an option, but I wouldn't want it to rain. If they go solid enough, the blinkers are still an option. I'll talk to Grillsy, but I was thrilled with his effort carrying that weight. He drops to 56. But we've got to beat the Cambridge Stud horse. But hey, they've all got to get 2 miles.
You like a challenge?
Oh, I love it, mate. He'll get 2 miles.
Okay, you're polishing the diamond. Well done.
Thank you.
Obviously, blinkers off, and he's had the noseband on today, and he was really good. He's sort of, it was a good genuine pace, but he was off the bridle nicely. But when I gave him a click up, he came underneath me, and if anything, I got there too soon. So he got there really easy. But no, he's on target for the cup.
Well, that's what it looked like, and that's what I said to Alan. You sort of got there, and he loafed a bit still.
He did, but probably still learning a bit about him all the time. So yeah, no, he's definitely going the right way.
Aquacade, you'll come up against Aquacade in the Cup. Al loves the challenge, so do you.
Yeah, 100%. No, it'll be a good battle. Thanks.
Craig Grills there giving his feedback on Ladies Man, who of course is primed and ready for the Auckland Cup. And I thought it was a very soft run, a soft win, just perfect, and tip this horse off ready to peak on the day.
I don't think anybody does this sort of thing better than Alan Sharrock, leading in winning races at the right weight for 2 miles. Even though it's got here very quickly, it was well back in the field. It's just cruised up to them. Second horse was really good.
Really good, because finding trouble all the way down the straight here.
And it's by Flying Artie, so you just wouldn't think it would be a stayer in the making, but it keeps coming, like a good stayer. SVR was good out wide. I think maybe this cup will come round too quickly for him, but there's a cup somewhere in his life. The winners come home in 47 seconds, which goes to show a couple of things. First of all, the track was perfect at Te Rapa. And secondly, he'll unwind a big last half in the Auckland Cup. It's only 5 days away. There's so much going on at the moment, it's hard to keep up with it all. It's a good top to the Auckland Cup in. Aquacade's clearly flying. You could drop Aquacade or Ladies Man into a weight for age race and not be embarrassed. And probably Dionysus as well. And then you get into more the Cups type horses, Hinipara, Lincoln King, Leaderboard. These are genuine Cups horses, Platinum Invader. So I think those top 3 have a pretty decent class edge. And I had a really interesting conversation to Lance O'Sullivan about the Cup the other day. And he said an Auckland Cup and the Derby, where they're being run this year, obviously Auckland Cup Pukekohe and the Derby at Te Rapa, are different from Ellerslie. He said when you're at Ellerslie, you've got to jump, run, get a position, and then you go up the straight and you're still working, and it's really hard on the horses. He said whereas this is a different situation because you're going to have a flat track to play with. I think that probably aids Aquacade. I think she's so brilliant that maybe...
Conserve energy and be able to sprint.
You know how sometimes you talk about an Auckland Cup racing like a 2,400 metre race? I think that will suit her better, and obviously she's very clearly proven at Pukekohe. So I think it's a good race. I think it's an Auckland Cup where, rather than just being dowdy old stayers, which we get sometimes, we've got a fair bit of class to play with, and also class which hasn't been too overexposed. We don't know how good Aquacade is. We know Ladies Man's still on the way up. It's not like, these horses aren't going to turn out to be top horses. So really looking forward to that at Pukekohe alongside the 2 Group 1s. That's coming up in 5 days' time.
Yeah, 5 days. It's going to come around quick, isn't it? Awesome week for the carnival, and looking forward to getting to Pukekohe on Saturday. Take you down to Wingatoui now. Romancing the Moon was successful in what was a very, very impressive victory.
There it goes for home. Favourite gets right to the centre of the track. Romancing the Moon. She's starting to stoke up and come after the leader behind them now. Express Cope and now Betty Spaghetti running on, but Romancing the Moon race to the lead with 100 metres to go. And in full illumination, she's going to be the best of the fillies, drawing away from Betty Spaghetti. But it's a one-act affair, and Romancing the Moon has blitzed them. She won it by 6 lengths. Betty Spaghetti second.
She was very good, Michael. 7 points with her NZB Insurance Stakes victory, moving her into equal first place on the table alongside listed Canterbury Bell Stakes winner One Kiss. That's obviously for that
South Island filly of the
year. Yeah, so that's really good for her. It's just going back through her form. We've got a second in the Group 3 Soliloquy Stakes, splitting Legato Prowess. You've got the Group 1 1,000 guineas in fourth, and then a Last Star second. Got a great record, and I understand heading back up to the Levin Classic.
Well, she wasn't in the market for the Levin Classic, so maybe she needs to be put in, or I'm not sure why she wasn't in the market we showed you earlier. I spoke to Jason Laking last week because he was going to ride this horse and he wanted to ride in a Derby, so he got off to ride Waitak, and his exact words when he were, well, I want to go to the Derby, but there's a horse who just can't miss at Wingatoui on Saturday. That was it. One by 5 lengths. The only surprise was it paid 2.3, and Joe rode it beautifully. If that Levin Classic falls away, as we think it is going to fall away, then yep, she would slide in there pretty nicely. My apologies, she was in the market. Actually, okay, that must be an old market because clearly they're not the right numbers there. So we'll ignore that for you. That's the old market. Maybe that was the opening market because maybe it's the second page. Regardless, she might be heading there, so our apologies. Maybe she was on the second page and we didn't show you that earlier. There's a lot of horses who won't be going to the race, Sharp and Smart, Prowess included. So my apologies for that. She was in the market. We just didn't show you that second page. $26, Em. I would suggest she's probably a place chance.
Yeah, exactly right. Up next, we've got Burgee. Burgee was also successful at Wingatoui, and have a little look at the replay of this. This was a third win at a 13th start, and Michael, a very consistent type of a horse. Been racing super consistent since Christmas time and came from a wide draw.
Absolutely bolted it. So the Anderton stable are first and second here. Now you look at Burgee, this is the $100,000 Southern Mile final. So there's heats and then they get through to the final. It's capped at rating 82 and she's only a 71. And you sort of think, well, I don't know most of the horses in this race, how good can they be? Well, she won the War Step Stakes last year. So she's already a black type winner at Riccarton. So she's proven herself there. She's raced in some good 3-year-old races last year. She raced in the Guineas series down there, and clearly she's improved. By Ghibellines, so both the first 2 home by Ghibellines. You would suggest there's a perfect race for her, and I'm not telling the Andertons what to do because they've trained 1,000 odd winners. But Burgee can go to the Breeders' Stakes at Riccarton on the 25th, I think it is, Group 3 at a mile on a track she's proven at over the same distance as the other day. So you would suggest that's probably the next target for her, and being Group 3, that would upgrade her black type from the War Step last year. So I don't really know lots of the horses in behind, but we know she can perform on the big stage down there, and I think she'll probably get another crack at it.
Loland Stakes was run during the week, always a key form race heading towards the Oaks. It was taken out by Val di Zoldo. Good tussle up the straight with Contagious. Couple of things we just want to highlight here. A first stakes winner for Inglewood stud-based stallion War Decree, and 100 wins for Michael McNabb for the season. And Penny Wecker, pretty eye-catching, Family Ties, also unlucky.
Is coming out and after these runners. Val di Zoldo just laying in a little bit on Contagious. There's not much between them. Val di Zoldo just, Contagious is tough. Pennywicker's arriving the last little bit, but Val di Zoldo wins. Val di Zoldo gets the Lowland from Contagious. Pennywicker.
One proud moment for you.
Yeah, very much so. You know, especially the stable win the race, eh? Michael getting his 100 on it. You know, it's great. He's had a great association with Tony for a number of years now. So, but to get the stakes race, and yeah, 100% couldn't be happier.
This horse has obviously been around your establishment a while. Trialled up as a 2-year-old in August behind Maven Bell.
Actually, Stephen Orchard's trained her as a 2-year-old, and then she went through the Valachi dispersal sale, and Rob, the owner here, he bought her, and we've had her as a 3-year-old. So yeah, very, very lucky.
The pattern today was Vinny was setting up the pace, and Michael was just stalking Vinny everywhere he went.
Well, the plan was sort of, you know, to be, it sort of mapped the race for him to be in the 1-1. And then nothing went, you know, but I knew she'd switch off, so she got out of the straight, so everything went perfect.
This run to us seems got Oaks written all over it. What's your impression?
Yeah, 100%. She'll go. You know, as long as we get her home and everything's fine, she'll be at Wellington for the Oaks, 100%.
In our last reflection is on your son, 100 wins for the season, carving out champion jockey from last season. Must make you very, very proud.
Oh, very much so. He's worked hard to where he's got, you know, and he's, you know, he's had a bit of a checkered career early on, but, you know, he's nailed down now, and there's not too many better riders around, you know, and that's not being biased, you know. I'm pretty hard on jockey, so, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Well, if you thought our action from New Zealand was enough, think again, because we had a massive weekend across the ditch, including Legato winning the Group 1 Australian Guineas. We're going to get to Ken Kelso shortly, but before we get there, let's have a little look at the replay of Legato's wonderful victory in the Group 1.
Takes the lead from elliptical Japanese Emperor. Backmore and Jacquino late. Japanese Emperor and Attrition. Stride for stride. Attrition just in front. The filly Legato is driving at them and got up. The filly, the Kiwi, Legato has nailed Attrition. Japanese Emperor third.
Absolute scenes at Flemington with Legato winning the Group 1 Australian Guineas, and we've got Ken Kelso on the phone to have a little chat through all things Legato. Ken, first of all, a massive congratulations. Everybody absolutely delighted for you here in New Zealand, and for you personally, you know, you said to me earlier in the week that you could retire happy if you got a big win in Australia, and you've done just that.
Yeah, morning, Em. Michael. Yeah, no, it was a huge day, Emily. Huge result. Just thinking in, really.
Ken, also you mentioned to me earlier in the week about, of course, Bev, she was 50-50 to be able to travel, and we saw in the interview that she was there with you. That must have made it really special too.
Yeah, no, it's really special. We've made the trip over to be there together for the race, and no, it was a huge day, and just sort of, you know, something you can remember in your life as being one special day.
Ken, you're a pretty relaxed sort of guy race day. You're pretty quiet in your behaviour. How did you celebrate? Was there fist pumping? Was there a hug for Bev? What does a man like yourself do when you win a race you've been trying to win for your whole life, a Group 1 in Australia?
Oh, you know, it was a bit of shock, really. You know, I just sort of couldn't believe it. Bev was screaming at the TV, get third, get third, get third. Some black stripe, and all of a sudden she's won. So it was, I couldn't really believe it. But then I said to, you know, you're grabbed by the media straight away, obviously, and I said to Bruce McAvee, I said, could you please pinch me, because I just want to know this is not just a dream.
Ken, you and I were talking last week about the fact that, you know, she occasionally in the past, at high speed when let downs, put her head on the side and sort of mucked around like a big baby. In her track work, in her trial at Cambridge on the synthetic, over the last month she seems to have been racing gun barrel straight, and she did that again for Michael D, heading through that gap. Is she starting to finally, the penny drop? Is she maturing, Ken?
Oh, definitely. I think she's sort of got better and better. You know, she hasn't had a lot of starts, and probably the fact that she's sort of one that a lot of those starts quite easily too, and never been pressured. You know, she's and never really been put under a great deal of pressure. And late in the race, she's just sort of got there and sort of pricked her ears and wondered what the hell everyone else is doing, and she's just got so much ability that she finds it easy, I think. But she's just the last couple of runs, you know, crack a million groups, grew up a little bit from that, and then no, she's definitely maturing and getting a little bit more ringcraft, I'd say.
Ken, having a Group 1 win in Australia, so valuable on her pedigree page. You've ticked that off now, so the pressure's kind of off. What's the plan from here? Where can we expect to see her?
Well, they tried to talk us in. We had a wildcard entry. I mean, when they got a wildcard entry into the All-Star Mile in a fortnight at Moonee Valley. We weren't keen on that. Had it have been Flemington, we might have given it some little bit more thought, but like taking on those real old tough old horses around Mooney Valley. I don't think it would be the right thing to do. So she's coming home, Emily. She flies home tomorrow night. She'll have a good break. She's had she hadn't had a lot of starts of the season, but she's had a bit of travelling. She flew down to Christchurch and she's flown over here. So she's going to go home and have a nice rest, and then she'll come back into work before winter sets in and just steadily build up and hopefully come back to Melbourne in the spring.
Ken, there's so many options, particularly for a mare when they go back to Melbourne. Obviously, there's Mare's Company. Clearly, she can be effective at 1,600. But is the Cox Plate the race that's in your mind or in your heart, which you think is the best target for her?
No, it's not really, actually, Nick. I mean, I've been quoted as saying Cox Plates, but there's just so many options over here. I don't know whether Mooney Valley's even the right track for her, but there's a nice race, the old McKinnon. I don't know what they call it now, which is 2,000 metres, and I'm pretty sure, and so's Michael, that, she's going to get 2,000 plus. The way she races, he was adamant of that on Saturday night, that she's going to get further. So there's it opens up a lot of options. There's the Fillies and Mares miles, and of course there's the old McKinnon, which is 2,000 metres. I think it's a $4 million race at Flemington, which would be ideal. So, you're not going to make any plans as far as where we're going at this stage. There's plenty of time. We'll get her home, we'll give her a break, and then we'll get her back up, and then we'll snap a program in the spring, what's suitable for her.
Ken, before we let you go, just a quick update on Levante. What are the confirmed plans for her?
She flies to Sydney. They actually talked to us, and she could have got a wild card into the All-Star Mile too here in 2 weeks' time, but I didn't think Mooney Valley was her type of track. So she's going to run in the George Rider. She flies to Sydney on the Saturday or Sunday before. The race is on the 18th of March, same day as the All-Star Mile in the George Rider, 1,500 metre Group 1 at Roseville. And then we've got options after that, whether we go to the 53.5 in the Doncaster she's got, or we wait the week later and go to the Fillies and Mares Queen of the Turf, 1,600 metres at Randwick. So she's got options as well.
Ken, thank you so much for your time this morning, and from all of us here, a huge well done, because it was awesome to watch on Saturday. I'm so glad that you and Bev got that Group 1 Australian win into Legato. Hats off to you all.
Really, thanks, Emily. Thanks, everyone. And no, it's a huge result for the Kiwis, and it was a big day, certainly was. Thanks very much for the call.
Kim was telling me that he said, I want to mention to the weigh-in viewers and all the people watching in the industry, he had 122 text messages. And I'm thinking Ken's not a big texter. And he said, I just can't get through them all.
I bet he can't.
He said so. He texted you back, didn't he?
He did text me back. I did text him yesterday.
He didn't text me back.
Oh,
so
sorry.
you're the favourite. But anyway, if you're watching this and you text Ken, the reason he hasn't texted you back is because he had 122 and counting at 4 o'clock on Sunday. So that might be up to 150. So it's not because he doesn't love you. It's because he's been very busy being...
He's too busy celebrating,
the trainer
so he should
of good horses.
Yeah.
What a fillip for the industry here, because we think we've got a great 3-year-old crop, and Sharp and Smart had already won a Group 1 in the spring. But for her to do that, it means that Prowess and the Intimidator and Peer and everything gets lifted up. And we all go, wow, we can compete, and we might win the Vinery, and we might win the ATC Derby, and everything just feels better. The ratings for all those races she's been in now get boosted. That
Great
was
for
a
those winners to
huge...
keep the Group 1 status as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Huge New Zealand win there on Saturday. So, and also for Prasia. Just a win-win-win all across the board. Just on that race, there was a very nasty fall, which obviously we're not going to show you. That's not what we do. Ethan Brown had abdominal injuries. Now, he has had an operation on Saturday. He also is scheduled for an operation today, Monday. He is in a stable condition in the ICU unit, in Melbourne Hospital. So our thoughts are with Ethan. We're trying to make those two separate things, the victory plus obviously the more important thing with Ethan. And there'll be updates on social media for the VRC and the Victorian Jockeys Association over the course of this week. And we obviously are hoping those updates are good.
Imperatrice just about made it a Group 1 double across the ditch, and she went down by just a nose to Artorius in the Canterbury Stakes.
Strung up between runners, Cascadian back on the rails, up the rise, Electric Girl, really being tested now by Imperatrice, and McDonald let the New Zealand mare go, and Imperatrice raced a length clear from Electric Girl. Then came Golden Mile from Converge Kerwin's Lane, but Imperatrice a length and a half clear. Artorius is bursting home late, Imperatrice in front, Artorius! Wow, Artorius bombed her and won the Canterbury Stakes right on the way out.
Zach Burton back in town with a bang over the top of Imperatrice. And Michael, I thought she was home for all money and going to win comfortably, but look at the position he's come from. He's blocked for a run fractionally and then burst through to score well, and probably didn't even see him coming.
No, I don't think she did. And look, she did look home. When you look at the markings on the track, those graphic markings, which obviously aren't actually on the track, they're on the television screen. When they got to the 50-metre mark, Artorius was still at her tail. He has made up a length in 50 metres. 50 metres for a horse at full speed is not a long way. It's basically 3 seconds. He's done a super job to win. He's a good horse. He was third equal in a Group 1 down the straight at Ascot. That's proper form. So there's no disgrace here.
And I think that's the best thing, isn't it? Because it shows that Imperatrice has the ability to be there. They can go back with confidence.
It means the form around Babylon Berlin and Levante and all these horses has been franked. The George Rider is an option for them next, but Imperatrice actually has other options. She could go to the Coolmore Classic against the mares also at Rose Hill, which would be easier. So options for her, they're going to have a meeting and trot her up as Tiaka tend to do on Monday and Tuesday and work out their options for there. If they want to extend it to the mile, which of course she's won a Group 1 at a mile, they could also end up against Levante, or that's a fair way away for the Queen of the Turf. That's another month away. So lots of options for her, but no disgrace in being beaten by Artorius when he's hot. And I think Zach Burton woke Artorius up a little bit there. When he's hot, he's a very, very good horse.
Communists took out the Randwick Giddies. That's the first of the Triple Crown heading towards the ATC Derby. And Michael, a double for Zach Burton. He was incredible. We know how good he is in Hong Kong. He hasn't been back in Australia for a couple of years, and he's done such a wonderful job to get these 2 Group 1s on the day. And Communists really performed as well.
And as the name might suggest, it's by Russian Revolution, and he's really arrived. Massive amount of 2-year-old winners, now 3-year-old winners at the highest level. Australia's been waiting for that next 2- and 3-year-old stallion to come through because there's such a clump of great horses at the top, those extreme choice type horses. But of course, here's the fertility issues. So Russian Revolution's one of those ones who's come through and said, hey, I'm one of the new boys on the block, and wins like this are going to embellish his record heading forward, and also the prices people are willing to pay for them, because he's got a very good 2-year-old called Red Resistance who ran second earlier in the day. But yeah, Zach Burton coming home and reminding us of what everybody in Hong Kong already knows.
There's another Kiwi-bred horse that's putting together quite the resume in Australia. That's So Unusual, a 4th win in a row for the New Zealand-bred gelding, who's now had a total of 8 starts for 5 wins. He was bred by Nigel and Adair Orette. So Unusual was purchased by Phil Cataldo, who we hear of a good bit on this show, and a really good advertisement for the sire Unusual Suspect. And it looks like he might head to the Roy Higgins off the back of this.
Then So Unusual, who was impeded on the corner. Midnight Blue is coming on as well. 300 to go. Youth Spirit by about a length and a half to Timor. So Unusual picking itself up. Then Midnight Blue. Youth Spirit at the 150. A length and a quarter. So Unusual picking it back. Youth Spirit. Ollie wields the whip. So Unusual wearing it down. So Unusual takes the lead and won again. So Unusual a neck Youth Spirit. 2.5 Timor. Then Midnight Blue. About 12 lengths.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Well, our $100 bonus bet is going to Dean Robb this week. Well done to you. You nominated Mick D. He's a great example of a Kiwi battler serving it up in Melbourne. It's great to see him getting the success in Oz that he deserves. Very true. Dean, well done to you. $100 bonus bet coming your way. And make sure you contact us if you want to be in to win a $100 bonus bet. Get in touch with us with your hero of the week. Well, we've heard plenty in the media about efforts around Cyclone Gabrielle and the recovery process. Someone who's been fronting that has been Roger James, and Andre Neil caught up with him on Saturday.
Roger, well, I've got you just a wee update. You've done some marvellous job heading up our relief fund for the New Zealand racing industry, and I think you're pretty proud of what our participants have been able to realise in recent weeks.
Oh, 100%. What an incredible industry we've got. You know, I started with a little idea, and as I said to somebody the other day, I went fishing for whitebait and I've caught a whale. I think after the stallion service auction on Tuesday evening, we will easily top $250,000.
When you talk about figures like that, it just shows you how important this industry is, and I guess those in government need to start learning this trade.
Oh, 100%. You know, what other industry has got together and done something like this, and you know, from a lot of humble participants, yes, a lot of big players as well, but right across the board, I've been pretty amazed as to the support that we've got, but it's all for the right reason, and the money will go directly to the right people.
Can we still contribute, or is that it's called stumps now?
No, absolutely not. Our bank account number has been widely circulated, and I still had a $2,000 donation come in this morning, so I'll probably look to close it off soon after the stallion service auction.
Wonderful job by Roger and Robert and everybody involved with them. That bank account's still available. Now tonight, if you have a broodmare, or you're going to buy a broodmare, that stallion service auction available on Gavel House. So Gavel House or Gavel House Plus, head there. Great stallions available to you, and the money goes to a great cause. Also, Aaron Hamilton and the team at Hawke's Bay Racing have done a massive job for people who are victims of Cyclone Gabrielle, and lots of other people as well. So David Smith and his team, so many people got together, and racing has done itself proud. There we see from Highfield Farm. So lots of other people involved, lots of animals and people were victims of this horrendous weather over the last couple of weeks. And Emma, I think we do have something to be proud of. Just on Roger James, not as important as this, but Prowess confirmed to go to the Bone Crusher at Wingatoui on Saturday. Michael McNabb to ride at 52 kilos. And she'll be taking on almost certainly La Creek, so adding some real oomph to what's going to be a wonderful Auckland Cup day. Yeah, sounds like it's going to be a massive day on Saturday, and we look forward to getting to review it all on Monday. We'll see you then. A very good morning from us here on Weigh In.